my name is Kat, and today I am very excited to haul some books and talk about what I've been reading. Because I've actually been reading a lot lately, just not a lot of novels, but we'll get into that in a moment. As per usual, we're gonna kick things off with the BOOKSPLOSION books. Our April book of the month was The June Boys by Court Stevens, and for this one we were working with HarperCollins. This is a young adult mystery / suspense novel, and it's about a serial kidnapper known as the Gemini Thief. And the Gemini Thief's MO is to kidnap 3 boys on June 1st and hold them captive for 13 months, releasing them unharmed on June 30th of the following year. And the Gemini Thief is a pro. They have avoided authorities for over a decade, but this year something has apparently gone wrong because one of the missing boys turns up dead. Our main character is a teenage girl named Thea, whose cousin is presumably one of the boys that the Gemini Thief has had kidnapped for almost a year now. But now that one of the boys has turned up dead, Thea is all the more worried about her cousin. And as Thea immerses herself in investigating the Gemini Thief, her suspicions start to turn toward her own father. I had a really good time with this book. It was such a ride, and I think my favorite aspect was the mystery, which kept me so compelled and second-guessing everyone. And if you've read this book, then I definitely recommend checking out our live show discussion for it. I feel like we had a really good discussion about this book because it prompted a lot of interesting topics. You know, from the crazy theories we had going to the relationship between Thea and her father, which was a really interesting dynamic. Her father is quite the character. So yeah, link to that is in the description if you want to check it out. The next book I have to talk about is We Are the Wildcats by Siobhan Vivian. And this is the BOOKSPLOSION Book of the Month pick for May. We were working with Simon & Schuster on this one. This is another standalone suspense novel, though this one takes place over less than 24 hours. In this book, we are following 6 members of a field hockey team. It is the night before their first game of the season, and as per tradition, they're having a team sleepover. But as the night goes on and they start to pull some crazy stunts and wild pranks, secrets start to surface, and the girls start questioning if their coach is more of a toxic influence on them than they've realized. As I mentioned, this is the May book of the month, and I haven't read this one yet, but I am very excited to. I tend to really enjoy books that take place over a short period of time, like over less than 24 hours. And my favorite way to read a book like this is, you guessed it, binge reading it over like a single sitting. So that's what I'm planning to do here. And the live show for this book is going to take place on May 30th on the BOOKSPLOSION channel. I'll put all the details about that in the description if you want to join us. Next up, let's talk about the 25-volume manga series that I recently binge read. So, Kamisama Kiss. I adore this manga and the anime. I actually watched the anime first. I watched season 1 years ago when it first came out, and I didn't even know there was a season 2 because there was like a 3-year gap in between seasons. So I never watched season 2 until last month when I was binge watching some anime, as you do, and I wanted to rewatch Kamisama Kiss season 1 and watch season 2 for the first time. But upon finishing season 2, I was distraught that the overall story arc was not complete, so I turned to the manga. The 25-volume manga. I binge read this over the course of like 3 days. I did nothing but read manga, and honestly, it was a great time. I finished volume 25 at like 2 in the morning and then just cried for an hour. It was awesome. Kamisama Kiss is about a teenage girl who ends up taking over for a land god, and now she is the god. She is the deity of this shrine. So the series is about her kind of learning to become a god, and also about her falling in love with her fox spirit familiar Tomoe. I love Tomoe. I love their relationship, their dynamic. I love how funny and silly this story is while also being like so freaking romantic and touching. It's just a really good time, and I highly recommend both the manga and the anime. The anime is a fantastic, faithful adaptation, but the anime doesn't cover the whole story. So watch the anime and read the manga, get the whole story. It's a great time. I really had a great time with this. Next up, I want to talk about The Bot Diaries by Martha Wells. And this is another series that I just recently marathoned and had such a great time with. So The Bot Diaries is an adult hard sci-fi series that is made up of 4 novellas, and then the 5th installment is a full-length novel. I had been meaning to read the series for a while, and then Tor, the publisher, recently did a promotion where they just gave away the first 4 novellas in ebook format for free. So you know I jumped on that opportunity immediately. So I read those first 4 novellas over the course of like 2 days, and then immediately went and bought the 5th installment, the full-length novel, because I love Murderbot. So Murderbot is a sec unit, a security unit, kind of like a robot bodyguard, but not entirely robot. These constructs, as they're called, are made with organic material. So Murderbot does have human parts. And with those human parts come some human feelings, which Murderbot would just rather not deal with. And Murderbot just wants to do like the bare minimum half-assed version of its job, just keep the humans alive so it can keep watching all of its downloaded media in peace. But the humans that Murderbot is currently trying to keep alive have found themselves in the middle of this plot where like something or someone wants them very dead. I adore this series. Murderbot is such a fantastic character, a very snarky narrator. I love the trope of like the grumpy, antisocial outsider kind of becoming a cherished member of the squad. That's a great trope in my opinion. Murderbot is also such a fun character because it's very badass and like highly competent and capable, but also very, very socially awkward, which is just a super fun dynamic. If you're a fan of hard sci-fi and kind of snarky, grumpy protagonists, then I highly recommend this series. It was such a fun binge. Like, I flew through all 5 books over a couple of days, and then I actually went back and reread the first novella again. It was a really good time, and I'm really excited for more Murderbot. There are going to be more novellas and maybe another novel. I don't know. I know that there's another novella coming out next year, and I'm ready for it. Next up, I have here the second half of the Shatter Me series by Tahir Mafi. These books showed up at my apartment unsolicited from the publisher, which I appreciate, but I do already own the first 2, so gonna donate the duplicates. I read the 4th book, Restore Me, last year, and I am excited to finish the series now that the last 2 books are here. I've really enjoyed the series so far, and I really have no idea what's gonna happen in books 5 and 6 after coming out of book 4, but I'm excited to find out. I'm gonna try to binge read this soon. You know what? I kind of want to read the whole series again. I want to reread the first 3 books, I think, before I read this. Am I just gonna like read all 6 books? That might be the plan. Either way, excited to see how it ends. And finally, let's talk about The Hunger Games. I did buy the original trilogy in audiobook format as read by Tatiana Maslany, and I am super excited to listen to those. The plan was to listen to those before the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, but unfortunately that didn't happen. I don't know, time escaped for me. I was too busy binging anime. So I didn't get my reread in, but I am still planning to reread The Hunger Games or listen to the audiobooks for the first time. Soonish, maybe? I don't know. But I did also buy the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I have already finished it. I'm not sure when I'm gonna get my hands on a physical copy, but I did buy the ebook and start reading it right the moment it was delivered to my Kindle. Now this is the Booksplosion Book of the Month pick for June, so I will be talking about it more in spoilery detail at the very least in the Booksplosion live show. But I am gonna share some of my thoughts on it now, and I'm gonna try not to be too spoilery, but if you want to avoid all spoilers, then you should click away from this video because I am gonna be discussing some things that some people might consider spoilers and might not want to know. As soon as I finished it, I posted on Twitter that I finished it, and a lot of people were asking, like, is it good? Is it bad? Is it worth the read? And the thing is, I can't answer that question for you. I personally had mixed feelings about this book, and I think that a lot of people are gonna have mixed feelings about this book. I did love a lot about it. Like, I think Suzanne Collins is a fantastically talented author. I thought the world building was fantastic. You know, this book is not just an origin story of President Snow, it's also kind of an origin story of the Hunger Games. We get to see the Hunger Games in year 10 and how different they are from the Hunger Games that we come to know. And I loved that aspect. Like, I loved the world building there. I loved seeing how the games were shaped and how they evolved. But I wasn't a huge fan of the origin story of President Snow. I was really hoping that we were gonna get another point of view character and we weren't gonna be like only following Snow, but we're only following Snow. And like the romance just kind of had me like, I don't know. I wanted that aspect of the story to go in a different direction, which I'll elaborate on more in the Booksplosion live show when I can freely talk about spoilers. I don't know. I was just kind of expecting more, I think. Like, I wasn't really surprised by anything. And I feel like part of that is maybe the inherent problem with prequels where you know how things end up in the future, so like how surprising can things be now? I think I just had really high expectations, and like I wouldn't call this book disappointing or bad. I enjoyed it for the most part. It was just kind of expected. I am very interested to see how people react to this book though. Like, I'm glad I read it and I will probably reread it, but it doesn't compare to the original trilogy in my mind. But at the same time, it was so interesting and I feel like it's gonna be a springboard for like so many interesting discussions. Like, there are so many things that we can talk about and analyze and discuss about this book. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I do still have some mixed feelings about some things that I still need to process. Like, I just finished this book, so like I don't have all my thoughts coherently organized. But I'm really excited to see other people talking about this book, and again, I will be discussing more of my thoughts in detail in the Booksplosion live show. But yeah, I think that is gonna do it for this video today. Those are the books I have recently hauled and read. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I will have another video up soon, so I will see you then. Bye!